Hello lovely people, my name is Emma and today I'm bringing you my April TBR. So there is a theme for this month's TBR and it's basically going back through all of the various yearly TBRs that I set myself, combination at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, to really focus in and start chipping off some of these books. Because in the month of March, which is when I'm currently filming, I'm doing the Women in History readathon. It's going fantastically and I'm really enjoying everything I'm reading, but it does mean I'm completely ignoring all of my yearly commitments, and if I'm not careful, we'll get to November and I won't have read a single one of them. So these I'm going to group them into the various videos that they appear in, but if you are a regular on this channel you will have seen every single one of these books before. So the first one is The Summer House with Swimming Pool by Herman Koch. This is on my 5-star fictions prediction video, and this is a translated fiction, and Herman Koch, I've read The Dinner Party before, and basically he's quite good at writing really unlikable characters, people who are from positions of privilege who are using their privilege in pretty terrible ways. I deeply enjoyed The Dinner Party. I thought that it was awful and disgusting and fantastic. It might just be called The Dinner, not 100% certain. We'll link it in the comments down below. This one is about a doctor who gets invited out to be with a like he's invited out to one of his patients who's like a big hotshot Hollywood actor out on holiday with him, but then the actor ends up dead and a medical board is suing the doctor for negligence, and then he's also being accused of murder, and it's all sort of, you know, drama and scandal, and I'm assuming all these people are going to be awful human beings because that's kind of what he does, and I think this one's just going to be really, really fun. So can't wait to get to this bad boy. The next one is another 5-star fictions prediction book, and this is Circus of Wonders by Elizabeth MacNeal. This is a historical fiction set in the 1800s, and it's about a woman who runs away and joins the circus. She's been like shunned by her community because she has birthmarks that mark her face, so she's sort of joined as a possible freak, might be doing some acrobatic stuff, not too sure, but it's about kind of her journey, and I'm assuming there's probably going to be some kind of love and intrigue thing going on there. I loved Elizabeth MacNeal's book The Doll Factory, so I'm really excited about this one. Also, as an ex-circus performer, I'm intrigued as to how well they do with that, because a few books I've read with circus people in them have been awful, so hopefully this is going to break that streak. The next two books are on my 5-star non-fiction predictions, and the first one is The Man Who Tasted Words, Inside the Strange and Startling World of Our Senses, and I think that this one is going to mainly focus on where senses go wrong. The condition that the book title is referencing is called synesthesia, and it's where people can, like, you know, hear colours or taste words or all sorts of things where things get kind of crossed over and their brain adds in different sensations, but they are very consistent. I read a book on this topic called The Frog Who Croaked Blue years ago now. We're talking like easily 15 years ago, so I'm really excited to see what modern science has to say about it, and I think it's going to be really good. On a similar topic, we are really reading a lot of like sense biology books at the moment. I will do a whole video once I finish these, because I now have like 4 or 5 to talk about. The next book is An Immense World by Yong. This is how animal senses reveal hidden realms around us, and I'm probably going to listen to this one in audiobook because I listened to the audiobook of Yong's other book, I Contain Multitudes, and deeply enjoyed it. It was kind of audiobook where I was like, I deep cleaned the house just because I tend to listen to audiobooks when I'm doing something with my hands. I can't just sit and listen. I find it really difficult to concentrate unless I'm like keeping my body moving. So I do have them on often when I'm cleaning, and I like had finished the washing up and just wanted to keep listening, so I just kind of kept going, and my hubby came home being like, what the fuck happened? And I was like, I know, I just cleaned because the book's great. So I'm hoping I have a similar reaction with this book. One, because the house could do with a deep clean, so it'd be amazing to find an audiobook that inspires that, but also just because I really love it when you find a great audiobook that really compels you to continue reading. So this is a book about senses, which the other book is also a book about senses, and fairly recently I read a different book about senses, so I'm hoping that the crossover doesn't mean that I'm too bored and there'll be enough variety, or, you know, touching on facts that you do know but you've kind of forgotten about. So we'll just see how it goes, but this has been incredibly well received. It has won a bunch of awards, both like from the bigger book community and more booktube and things like that, so I think it's going to be great. Then hopefully we're going to make a dent in my classics reading for 2024. I will link down below the classics video for that one. In fact, all of the various videos will be linked. My classics reading kind of took a bit of a hit because War and Peace took up so much freaking time and so many like pages worth of reading, so I'm really excited about the fact that that is completed. I enjoyed it. I have a full review of it. I'll link it somewhere, but I'm excited to get to other books on the classics TBR. One that is definitely going to be the high priority one because it was on my February TBR and I didn't get to it because I was reading War and Peace, is Another Country by James Baldwin. I want to read this book. This needs to be like the next book I pick up, basically. First book of April. And this is set in 1960s Harlem jazz musician, and yeah, basically I am psyched. I love Baldwin's writing. I think he's so lyrical and pretty and has such a lovely flow to him. I think that this is going to be really good. Then one that I do plan to do on audiobook, this will probably be if I get an Immense World finished. I'm kind of getting through about 3 audiobooks a month at the moment, 3 to 4, so it's definitely one that I need to like make sure that I've got them in my TBRs, otherwise I end up like frantically running around trying to find credits to buy books that I'd already put on my TBR. Seems very silly. But what I will probably do on audiobook is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. Audible has a new little series of the Jane Austen books read by Rosamund Pike, which I think is going to be fantastic. I love her voice. I think she's going to be an amazing narrator for this. This is about 2 sisters, one who's impulsive and idealistic, the other one who is sort of a bit more introverted, and it's just sort of your classic of this time period trying to get them married off kind of energy. I've had mixed reactions to Austen in the past. I love Northanger Abbey and Persuasion. I freaking hated Emma, and annoyingly each time I've read an Austen book my enjoyment level has gone down. Like, my favourite is Northanger Abbey, which I read first. My least favourite is Emma, which I read most recently. So I'm hoping this can break that trend and it's not an even worse reading experience than Emma, and that I haven't just peaked too soon with Austen, so wish me luck. And then the final like classics book is George Orwell's Coming Up for Air. My dad actually read this one quite recently and said that it's phenomenal, so it is the one that I'm picking. I think in my classics video I just said an Orwell, but this is the one that I'm going to go for. It is about a gentleman who is sort of reaching the end of his life, is feeling a little bit sort of bummed and a bit wistful and existential, so goes back to his childhood home, and all sorts of intense stuff happens. So yeah, my dad said he really enjoyed it, and I love Orwell's writing. I've definitely read far more from Orwell in his non-fiction rather than his fiction, so I'm trying to go back and read more of his fictions, and this is just one of them, so I am psyched for this. Then we have 3 books that I'm going to be reading from my Around the World in 12 non-fiction challenge. This one has definitely fallen by the wayside over the past couple of months, and I really need to focus back on it, so we're going to hopefully make a dent, and my goal is to get 2 out of 3 of these done, because this is a slightly ambitious TBR, but I always love an ambitious TBR that you don't quite get all of them, rather than too small a TBR that leaves you wondering what the hell to read. So the first book from that is The Darkness Echoing, Ireland's Place is a Famine, Death and Rebellion by Gillian O'Brien. This is definitely my high priority one, especially because some of the history books I've been reading in March have talked about Ireland and Irish rebellion, especially sort of in connection with various British rulers, so I am really intrigued. My knowledge of Irish history is pretty shocking, and I haven't read much recently, so I'm definitely excited to fill some serious gaps with this one. Then probably next priority, just because of the fact that it's been on my shelves for freaking forever, is In Monteparnasses by Sue Rowe. This is the emergence of surrealism in Paris from Duchamp to Dali. This one I'm actually reading at the moment When Paris Sizzled, which is also about a similar kind of topic. I think this is a little bit more niche than When Paris Sizzled, so I'm hoping that it will work quite nicely to run almost from one Paris book into another Paris book, and that I won't be bored of the topic. But yeah, this is all about art history, specifically about the surrealist movement and sort of the cradle of Dadaism and surrealism. And it's going to talk about like Dali and Man Ray and Max Ernst, all of which are definitely featuring in When Paris Sizzled, so I'm hoping we won't be crossing too many points. But even if I am, if that just means that I then decide that like I don't want to finish one of them because the other one's doing it better or whatever, then it does get books off my TBR, which is always good. And this book has been on my TBR for freaking forever, so it's about time. I think it's probably one of the books I've added to the most number of TBRs and not actually got to, so I just need to fucking read it already. And then like if I get time for it, I'll definitely read it, obviously before the end of the year because it's on a yearly TBR, but it might not necessarily be in April, is Black Wave, Saudi Arabia, Iran and the Rivalry That Unraveled the Middle East by Kim Ghattas. This I do want to read quite soon because, again, some of the women in history books I've been reading have been talking about more of the conflicts in the Middle East, and it is a massive gap in my knowledge, so it would be very interesting to read a whole book dedicated to this. This is specifically focused on the 3 major events in 1979, the Iranian Revolution, the siege of the Holy Mosque in Mecca and the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. 3 events I know jack shit about. So I think it would be important to go back and try and start to fill in these gaps, and this is the point to the Around the World in 12 non-fiction. The reason I'm putting it just lowest on this is because of just how long the other books have been on my shelf, and the fact that I'm sort of doing a bit more of a run through of some other topics, but I am going to be getting to it soon. I think if not in April, then it's going to be one that I try and read in May. So there you have it. There's, I think, probably around 9 or 10 books that I'm going to try and get to in April. Do let me know in the comments down below, have you read any of these before, and what are your thoughts on them? And also, what are your thoughts on like yearly TBRs in general? I love making them at the beginning of the year. I get really excited, really sort of impassioned, and I get, you know, real motivated to get through these various books. And then by the time we get to this point in the year, I realise that I've actually committed to reading like 30 or 40 books already at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, I tend to read around 100 to 120, so it kind of represents quite a big chunk of my reading that I've already like locked in. And sometimes by the time we get to like 2/3 through the year, I'm so bored of seeing these books because they've been on my shelf as like a high priority for so long that it almost like lessens my enjoyment of them, which doesn't stop me from doing these yearly TBRs every year, because I do think that the benefits of them outweigh the costs. But I'm hoping if I can get more of a jump and like a head start and really focus on these, then I won't lose momentum as the year goes on. So anyway, that's it from me. Have a wonderful reading week, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye.